And 3, 2, 1. Stop.
To me, art is what is my answer. If I can write and I can be free in my writing, if I can perform or play music or teach, which is what I do most of my week. I teach piano and I teach swimming in the summer. And I started a new job at a place for people who have mental difficulties. And if during the different channels of my doing in life, I can bring myself and I can still belong, I feel like it's like a sun that rises and it doesn't burn the sky from its intensity, and it can set and it doesn't devastate the sky with the darkness that comes and follows. But it's a feeling of peace and harmony and movement and freedom. And that is, to me, the freedom of living. It was like not just being happy on the surface, but something in my essence was truly joyful. I became not only very free, but very faithful. And kind of like this time of day that it starts getting lighter, and all of the artificial lights of the city can kind of turn themselves off and relax and go to sleep. There was something inside me that could finally rest because something became light. And I became light, not just light in the sense of brighter, and not just light in the sense of I lost a lot of the heaviness that I was carrying, the heavy weight, but also I actually changed my name to Light. For 2 months or 3 months, that was my name. Also in Spanish, I was speaking Spanish, but by that point, my name was Luz. And I was light. I was happy, I was generous, I was kind. And it seemed that this is who and what I am for the rest of my life. And really, I just remember things coming to me, opportunities coming to me. People would open their homes to me. I was never truly stuck. I knew that God is with me at all times. And the world became one. It was this big sense of inspiration. And I could write poetry for hours. I could speak in rhymes. I could play my ukulele as I was going. And I was kind of skipping my way in this life. And this was all great, 400 days of traveling. And like many good things, they didn't really come to an end as it came to a transition. I came back home, and from being light, I came back to being Gabby or Gabriella. And I returned to Israel, and I decided to not just stay in the observing and traveling mode, but yes, I wanted to be part and go study and even, I would say, be in the mainstream of this world. So I started a bachelor's degree in Jerusalem that had to do with politics and philosophy and economics. It's an excellence program. I did my SATs as I was doing the army service, so I could actually just submit while I was in a farm in Paraguay volunteering. I submitted and got accepted to this program, and really 2 months after I had landed back in Israel, I started my degree. Now Jerusalem is a very special city, very spiritual, many unique people, very intense politics-wise. And from here to there, I found myself also meeting different people, also going to different events. I was still light on the inside, but now I was Gabriella on the outside. And as I was saying, life was becoming much brighter, much happier. I was literally skipping on the sidewalks of Jerusalem with a ukulele in my hands and an Ecuadorian poncho. I had dreadlocks, and I really was all about peace and love in a deep way, not just superficial peace and love, but truly, truly seeking for peace and truly believing in love. And all was well. Again, I was handing out poems. I would just give out randomly presents. I remember one time that I went on a bus and I saw a beautiful woman. So I just took a note. I wrote to her, "You are beautiful," in big words, big letters. And a moment before I went off on my stop, I just handed her the note and left. And I saw her reaction. You know, how often does a person get a note that they're beautiful? And how easy it is to make someone beautiful, feel beautiful. How easy it is to help someone see their beauty. And I felt that inspiration was going through me, that I was kind of like a tube, that just things are coming from up to down, from outside, inside, and outside again. I was really a fountain of this fresh water of goodness. And I felt alive. I felt, after so many years that I felt like an outsider and I felt like I don't even belong to myself, I finally became one body and soul and spirit, and was surrounded by so many friends, and things were just coming to me. I felt like all I need to do is just open my eyes and open my hands to the world, and everything is out there. I can receive everything and accept everything and embrace everything. And together with all this stream of good events that was happening and friends, really this big inspiration was just such a great part of this time in my life. And I was writing nonstop, and I was playing music nonstop and dancing all the time. I even remember that in my apartment in the dormitory in Jerusalem, I would do dance parties with myself and put on music, and I was dancing, and I was kind of forgetting that actually other people are with me in the building. And one time I get a knock on the door, and some student guy is telling me, "You know, I can hear my ceiling shake because you're dancing, and all I want to do is work on a project for university. So if you can please not dance for a few hours, that will be great." So that was my life in Jerusalem, and slowly things started to connect. And I started to understand things about this world. I would go to the market, Shuk Machane Yehuda, and I would see people smiling with no teeth, and they didn't have much money. They still probably don't have much money, but they seemed happy, and they would talk to each other and connect. And then I would go to university, and I would see people sad and miserable and stressed. And I was kind of trying to understand and connect these two worlds. How can it be that this is what I see at the market and this is what I see in university? And I decided to buy these big white kind of sheets of paper. And I was just doing, one can call it a ceremony, but it wasn't really a ceremony even. I would just sit at home for hours, and I lit candles, and I put on music, the same music in loops. And I just started writing. I started writing theories about the past of the world. And things came to me about Abraham, about the roots of humanity, about physics and science. My family's very much into science, and we would talk about physics in my childhood over the dinner table. So things started to connect, and from here to there, I was not only receiving information, I would say, about the past, but I was also getting insights about the future and directions of where this world is going. So this was amazing. This was a time of a lot of power and very, very little sleeping hours. I was drinking a lot of black coffee and eating a lot of dark chocolate. I started to have different different ideas also about colors and how to dress and how really this world is built and it was created in time and space. I didn't feel like I was something big or smart. I mean, I am, and all of us are, but I mainly felt that in a way almost God is using me. I'm a channel to something much greater than myself. This is my purpose, this is my destiny, this is why I came here. Gabriella is a name of an angel, and I felt that I'm an angel with a message to this world. And from here to there, this message was not only that this world is beautiful and great, but also a message that the end of the world is coming. There was a wrong calculation about time and space. Einstein was wrong. I can explain this in further detail, but it is a very long explanation. Anyways, the calculations were wrong about time and space, and basically the foundations of modern life and the modern world are not correct and not in sync with nature. So my sister was supposed to fly to Israel during this time, and she was pregnant, and I basically, at some point, I went to my brother's house and I told him, listen, we have to call our sister. This is really dangerous. She's going to be crossing time zones, and Einstein miscalculated the time and space, so once she tries to cross the time zones, she might be in danger because something wrong is going to happen. And same thing with climate, and this is why climate change is happening, and this is why wars are happening, and there's a lot of electricity in the walls, and that's dangerous as well, and static electricity, and we miscalculated all of these things. And from here to there, everything became very, very noisy and intense. It felt like time was stretching in my mind. And it felt like, on the one hand, we're doomed, but on the other hand, maybe I can save some people. So I went to my family and I tried to explain to them all these things. They didn't exactly believe me. My brother believed me, but other people didn't believe me. And I started to panic. I was very afraid because the world is going to end. I have so much responsibility. I have so much information that I can't express all at once, and people aren't believing me. And what are we going to do? So I start calling friends of mine and I start telling them, listen, there's going to be this snowstorm and we're not going to have any electricity. And all of this bright light of joy and happiness and love and goodness, all of this greatness of the world and feeling of one, it's all starting to shake and shatter because reality is very fragile. And we don't know the whole picture. And some of what we do know can be extremely scary and frightening. And at this frightened mode, at some point it was nighttime, it was end of December, and I was at my mom's house, and I saw all these connections between the pictures on the walls, and I was calling friends of mine and warning them. And at some point, I went outside, and I don't even remember everything, but I took off my clothes and I was trying to feel the ground and I was yelling, and people started coming, the police, the ambulance, and all they wanted to do is just to help me relax and calm down, but the opposite was happening because they came, and then that even intensified my fear and also my anger because nobody was understanding me, and I was just frustrated in front of a world that needs me but doesn't understand why and doesn't understand the situation. And this was so terrible. This was so terrible because I was trapped. If during the dark times I was trapped in my darkness, now it felt like I was trapped in this blinding light. And it's not fun to be trapped in your own light and not being able to see anything beyond this blinding light. And at some point, I just lost control, and people were coming to help me, and I pushed them away, both verbally and also physically. I don't even remember everything. And at some point, the one person who I trusted, and I still trust, my brother, he came all the way from down south where he was living back then. He came, and he held out his hands. And And when he held out his hands, I felt like, okay, somebody here is with me, and I'm safe. And I held his hands back, and basically, from what I remember, it's like he kind of like I ended up somehow on the floor, on the grass. It was out on the balcony, and I got an injection that put me to sleep. And the next thing I remember, I was in an ambulance. And the next thing I remember, I was in a regular hospital, and they did a CT to my brain to see that I'm okay, that I didn't have some kind of malfunctioning in my brain. And the next thing I remember, I was in a hospital. A very strange place outside of this time and outside of this world. And during the first few days, I still remember I would kind of look in the sun. I would look into the sun. And this was a way that God and I would speak, would understand and relate. I would look into the sun, into that circle in the sky, and I could look into it for some time. And I knew that God sees me and that I see it. It's Him here. And these first days in the hospital, I was just thinking, still trying to understand how the world didn't come to an end, because by my calculations, it should have come to an end by a certain date. And okay, so there wasn't any snowstorm and everything's okay. And I guess God is putting me through some kind of test or some kind of game. So these days in the hospital, I'm looking to the sun in the eyes in those few minutes here and there that we have a break. And in these moments, I'm still a very big and strong believer. More than I believe human beings, I believe in God, and in this connection of God and myself, and the fact that I am light. And at some point it starts to sink in, this sense of betrayal, the sense that the world has disappointed me, and that at the same time I am a disappointment to this world, because I'm outside of the game. Whether I'm deep in the darkness or whether I'm surrounded by light, if I'm not speaking and listening and looking eye to eye and heart to heart to the people around me, so what is this life and what is this existence? And during the whole 3 months that I was in the hospital, the first month and a half I was actually, it was a compulsory. I was forced to go to this hospital and to be there. I can speak for hours about the hospital. I don't think that that's what I want to focus on today with you. But during this time of the 3 months, I think that what happened mainly is that my whole image of the world and God and what is important, it all shattered. It all changed, because the story isn't about complete darkness or complete light. It's not about a complete sunset or a complete sunrise. It's about this. It's about this in-between time that maybe we can't completely see the horizon. Maybe we don't completely know if it's dawn, if the sun is about to rise, or if it's twilight and maybe the sun is already set. It's about this time that we're hoping for something. We want something very bad. We want the future to reveal itself. We want something to be certain in this foggy, uncertain life. And we want to be able to see, but we don't want it to be too bright. And this was a very big insight of mine after what I went through, because everybody thinks that it's great to be happy. And it's great to be one with God and to dance your walk and to speak in rhymes and to just become best friends with every single person you meet on the street. But it was too much. It was too much. It's like my vessel, it couldn't contain so much of this light and goodness. Even my ability to write and even my ability to play music, I mean, even these kingdoms of freedom, they couldn't contain all of this, all of the abundance, all of these presents that I was receiving, and all of this information. It was just too much, and it was too intense, and too quick, and too high a volume. And yes, I'll also say too much responsibility, because feeling that you have such a big destiny and mission, wow, that's a lot of weight on one's shoulders. And maybe it's good that it all kind of fell apart and that I found myself on this island in this hospital, not knowing who I am and what I am and what's God and what's this world. And this moment that I don't know which artificial lights are going to stay on and off, and if the sun is ever going to rise or it already rose, or what the future is going to bring. Maybe it's going to rise from the west. Maybe the moon's gonna replace the sun. I mean, what do we know? So thank you for listening. זהו. That's it. Boom boom.
אוקיי.
הנה, יש עוד פעם קצת צורחת אם אתה רוצה. לא, סליחה, אני בלי משקפיים. היא עוד רגע, אבל תדרך עוד פעם לרגע.
דאבל שגל.
נכון.